CRM was supposed to improve customer relationships. Instead, it's shorthand for can't resolve much. Which means you may have sunk a fortune into software that just bounces customer issues around but never actually solves them. On the ServiceNow AI platform, CRM stands for something better. With AI built into one platform, customers aren't mired in endless loops of automated indifference. They get what they need, when they need it. Bad CRM was then. This is ServiceNow.
Hello everyone and welcome to How Are You The Podcast. It's Gav and you join us for our Sunderland AFC How Are You The Podcast Fixtures Breakfast. We are here to chat about Sunderland's Premier League fixtures for the 2025-26 season. They are out. We know who we're playing now. We know when we're playing the Mags. We know who we've got at the end of the season. We know who we've got on the opening day. I've got two fine gentlemen here with me to talk about it. First off, Johnny Hawley. Hello, mate.
Morning. It's nice to be discussing this league's fixtures instead of the last one, so let's get started.
Aye, and also with us, Martin Wanless. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. It's a fixtures dinner for me, no fixtures breakfast, but I'll let you have it.
Brunch, maybe. I don't know.
Brunch.
Yeah, I've just been driving there, and BBC Newcastle have been playing all the clips from previous derbies to try and ramp up the hype around the fixtures being released. And I've got to admit it, that's the first time I've felt excited about this. The fixtures are out. Let's start with the important ones, lads. 13th of December, Newcastle United at the Stadium of Light.
Oh, it just sounds brilliant when you even just hearing you say it. Never mind seeing it written down and all that. Like,
then the away leg is the 21st of March. 3 o'clock kickoff at the minute. These will all get moved for TV. So these are just baseline, really, aren't they? First 5 games, we've got West Ham United at the Stadium of Light, which is a nice start, I think. We've got Burnley away and Brentford at home following that. Then we've got Crystal Palace away and Aston Villa at home as the first 5. Going up to Christmas, we don't play on Boxing Day. We've got Leeds on the 27th at home, which is, I guess, nice. I don't really like playing on Boxing Day. It's nice when it sort of bleeds into a different day. And we also don't play on New Year's Day. The closest we get is Tottenham away, which is going to be a big one on the calendar, I think, for Sunderland fans, given it a new stadium. That's on the 3rd of January. End of the season, our final 5, we have Nottingham Forest at home on the 25th of April, Wolverhampton Wanderers away on the 2nd of May, Man United at home on the 9th of May, Everton away, that's another new ground, on the 17th of May, and then we round off with a game against Chelsea at the Stadium of Light on the 24th. We've played Chelsea a few times by my memory at the end, right on the end of the season, haven't we?
We have, aye.
Yeah. So then, I mean, we've got the full list here, but those are the important dates, certainly. Come to you first, Martin. What do you reckon?
Well, I think, first of all, it's nice, as Johnny says, to see a fixture list packed with the best names in English football, isn't it? For the last however many seasons, we've been looking to see when we're bloody playing, I don't know, like just Lincoln City away and so to get that list of games is brilliant. And it's probably famous the last words, isn't it? And somebody will clip this at some point in 3 or 4 months' time. But like that opening spell of games it's good. You're looking at that and you go, You know what? Like it gives us an opportunity to actually start the season relatively well and pick up, hopefully pick up some points. And again, famous last words, and you'll start the season with 12 games defeated, won't we? But it's a great start, and there's actually some very important games at the start there because West Ham at home, Burnley away, Brentford at home, Palace away, Villa at home. But even after those are the 5 that you mentioned, Gav, but you go into it after that, Forest away, Man United away. Now on paper, historically that's been a tough game, but you look at their form last season, you go, you know what, you kind of you wouldn't mind going away to
fancy us, aye.
Easy 3 points, is that what you said?
Well, I wouldn't quite go that far, Johnny, but then Wolves at home, Chelsea away, Everton at home. There's a good run of games there. Now it's going to be critical, that opening spell. It's nice to have some palatable fixtures on the season's starting sort of list, but it actually kind of ramps up the pressure on us a little bit because we've got to pick up some points in those games. Because by my reckoning, we need 10 wins from somewhere. And I think that opening sort of run of games gives us an opportunity to get a few on the board. So, if you're going to pick fixtures, you kind of might put this sort of fixture list together, mightn't you? In terms of how the games fall and the run of it.
Yeah, and then, but it does sort of look quite appealing, Johnny. But then you look at the December going into January.
Yeah,
I'll quickly blast through them. Liverpool away on the 3rd of December, then Man City away 3 days later. Then we play the Mags at Stadium of Light. Then we're away to Brighton. Leeds at home, Man City at home, Tottenham away. I mean, that is a nasty run written down, isn't it? So as Martin says, you look at the opening, if we're going to stay up, that's where you're going to be looking at points, right? It's as simple as that. Obviously, it's, we'd all be millionaires if we could predict the outcomes of games. We're not that good. But when you see it written down, you do look at it and think, it's not too bad, that start.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think as Martin said, if you were to just sit and pick the order of the fixtures, you probably wouldn't end up a million miles off that. Certainly the first 5. I mean, couple of decent-sized clubs in there, West Ham, Villa, both at home, good games, but, I mean, more so West Ham, possibly winnable. Brentford at home, if you want to stay up, you've got to aim to win that. Burnley away, obviously they've come up with us, it's pretty good. But then also, as Martin said, it does lump the pressure on at the start of the season, because if we come out with that run and we're looking back going, we've only picked up 2 or 3 points, then the alarm bells ring in great force, because as you then said, Gav, that December's not great. And even after Christmas, I mean, going in end of January into February, you're looking at, you've got Arsenal away and then Liverpool at home back to back. You've got even the run in at the end of the season's not hugely kind. I mean, you've got the likes of Tottenham at home, Villa away, Forest at home, Chelsea at home, obviously to end the season, all in that last sort of 5 or 6 games. So it's pressure on to kind of start well, I think. And it possibly puts a little bit extra pressure on the recruitment team in the pre-season to make sure everything's, hitting the ground running. But I'm not complaining, because I'd have taken this if you'd offered us it with a choice.
It's an interesting point, that, isn't it, about getting the recruitment early. I wonder if it does impact how we actually think about how early we get players in and all that sort of stuff, because, there's only...
It did back in January, Martin, didn't it, when we signed Lafayette? Because we got him in time to play some big games.
No, that's right. And, I think it might impact things because there's actually only 3 games before the transfer window shuts. And I think if they'd been Man City away, Liverpool away, and Arsenal at home or something, you might go, we can afford to wait a little bit. The fact that we've got 3 games that on paper are good opportunities to get points on the board for us. There's some games there where you go, what, we'll be lucky to get away with anything. That's every promoted side's going to be thinking that. And actually, every team finishing the bottom half of the Premier League last season is going to be thinking the same way anyway. But, West Ham at home, Burnley away, Brentford at home, they are 3 games that you go, if, as John said, if we're going to stay up, we need to be picking points up in those 3 games. So it probably does change the dynamic a little bit of how they think about the recruitment. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for the recruitment team, I don't know. But, hopefully it's good for us, because the sooner we can get good players in, bedded down, accustomed to the squad, accustomed to the way of playing, the stronger that we're going to have. And look, it gives us great opportunities to start well. The worst thing that we could have had is that fixture list that we've got around December. If we'd started the season with Liverpool away, Man City away, Newcastle at home, Brighton away, Leeds at home, Man City at home, Tottenham away, you'd be going, fucking hell, our confidence could be shot before we even get going, couldn't it? So hopefully this gives us an opportunity to get accustomed to the level that we're playing in now. There's not many players in this. I think, am I right in saying the side that started the playoff final, they didn't have one Premier League appearance between them. So
you're right, yeah. It was only when Mepham came on. Mm-hmm.
So this is a squad that has no experience at present, anyway. No experience for Premier League football, and that's likely to change before we play West Ham. But we're kind of going in still with that a little bit of naivety, which can be great, and we could just take advantage of it, hopefully. But look, I'm sure Ipswich fans were saying the same thing last season. Southampton fans were saying the same sort of thing. And, you just got to get cracking with it. But look, this is when it all turns real, isn't it? You've had the euphoria of the playoff final. You've had the buzz and the glow and the enjoyment of all of that, and watching the replays of Watson's goal and Ballard's goal and Isidore's goal and all that sort of stuff. This is when shit gets real. When you see the fixture list and you go, right, okay, let's get cracking with it. And, it's actually not long, really, is it? We've got, 7 weeks or so? 8 weeks?
Yeah.
Until the season starts. So this is going to creep up on us very quickly.
I'm looking forward to it, though.
That's great, isn't it? It's great.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not daunted by this whatsoever. When I mentioned before about the radio, BBC Newcastle playing the clips from the derbies, because obviously that's their big story, isn't it? They want to talk about Sunderland and Newcastle and when they're going to play each other. But just hearing those clips of the goals, they were playing Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett's commentary of Barini's goal and Defoe's goal, and I'm like, I've missed it. It hadn't sunk into me this, but it's the first Premier League derby since 2016, which I think 9 years ago. It's a long old time, because I forgot I didn't forget, but they got relegated, didn't they, before our final season? So it's been a long time, and I mean, for me, and like taking rivalry out of it here when I say this, I think these are the games we live for as Sunderland and Newcastle fans, aren't they? Certainly in my lifetime, and obviously, Martin, you've been a Sunderland fan a bit longer than I have, but before, but before they were owned by an oil state and decided they wanted to start winning trophies, this was the only important game on the calendar for both teams, and it's nice that it's back in the spotlight. It's nice that Sunderland and Newcastle are going to be playing each other on the big stage again.
Well, I remember in the mid-90s when they were saying, you're not our rivals anymore. Man United are our rivals now. You're not important. So, the change in man's like the bloody wind.
I would love it if we beat them. Love it. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Yeah. But do you know what, actually, as well, just on that as well, Gav, you said about the last derby was 2016, but obviously that was away, wasn't it? That was the 1-1 at St James's, Defoe scored in that minging vomit green kit.
Blame me for us not winning, because I sold me ticket for every derby up till that point. I got sick of seeing us lose there, because I've been at virtually every derby. Kept getting beat when I was going. The day of the 3-0 when Di Canio was manager, I sold me ticket and I just went, I'm going to go with my mates into town and watch it instead. And I didn't go. We won the game. We won the next one. I think we just kept winning and winning and winning these away games. And then when I finally decided to go back, we drew. So blame me. I'm not going to go this time. I'm convinced it's me.
Someone chain him into his desk chair when the away leg rolls round. But that means we'd have played the home fixture in 2015, wouldn't we, that season? So it's actually a full 10 years since we had a Premier League stadium like derby, which, when you say it out loud,
wasn't it? Allardyce's first game, Allardyce's first home game, wasn't it?
It was when we went through that spell, didn't we, where it seemed like every manager for 3 or 4 years on the trot, their first win as Sunderland manager kept being the Mags at home, because we'd have someone who was crap lose the first 5 or 6, get sacked, and then by the time the new lad comes in, it's about October-ish. Like, time for the Mags.
Well, it happened with Di Canio as well, didn't it? When Di Canio came in, he lost away at Chelsea in the March, and we beat Newcastle at St James's.
Aye, and I want to say it was Poyet as well.
It was, because Swansea away was Poyet's first game, and then first home game was against Newcastle.
And that was the Barini, great, world's greatest assist off Josie Altidore. Definitely wasn't miscontrolled first touch. But enough about talking about them. I mean, you're looking at some of the bigger games as well, and I think it's quite nice that we've got them spread throughout the season as well. Yeah. Not just from a practical point of view of we don't just want to have 6 games off the belt where we're playing Champions League teams and getting hammered every game. But I think it's nice, isn't it? Like, you've kind of got little games to look forward to scattered throughout the season. I mean, we've mentioned the Mags and Leeds and stuff, but even like Liverpool at home not being until the middle of sort of February time, it'll be nice, welcoming the champions back to the Stadium of Light. You've got, as much as they're a joke now, Man United at home right near the end of the season. And then if they're still rubbish by then and we beat them at the Stadium of Light, even better. But Arsenal at home's back in November time, like early November. So I think it's quite nice rather than having everything come at once and then a few months of just middling games, if you know what I mean.
Sorry to go back to Newcastle, but I've just had a look, and Champions League match day 6, 9th and 10th of December, we play them on the 13th.
Yeah, I was waiting. I was waiting to bring that up. Yeah, they'll have a Champions League game before the playoffs, which is interesting because it's pretty. What match day did you say it was there? Sorry, Martin.
Match day 6.
So is that their last group game?
No, they'll have 2
No,
more.
there's 8.
Is there? So either way though, they're going to have by their means anyway. They're going to be in conflict over that one because Champions League, very lucrative. It might be an important game for them, but they're also going to have one eye on the weekend and thinking, hopefully they've got someone difficult away.
I'm seeing a lot of straws and I'm clinging to things here.
Mm-hmm.
But match day 6, right? You reckon 6 out of 8, that could be a crucial game.
Yeah,
couldn't it?
You'd think it'll have something riding on it because you look at this season as well and how many big teams went right to the wire in that league stage or whatever. You had City in bother right at the end, Real Madrid in trouble, PSG as well. So if those teams can be struggling towards the end of the league phase, you can bet them lot up the road could be struggling come that time.
Yeah,
and then if they do progress, which obviously we don't want them to, but the round of 16 is the midweek before we play them away.
Well,
so hey,
we'll see what happens. Well, I get what you're saying, Martin, is that you want them to do well in the Champions League this year.
Well, I tell you what, if it gets down, say for example, right, if we turn them over at home after they've played in the Champions League, and they've got a chance of qualifying for the next bit, do you go, I wouldn't mind them getting through, just so they have the same thing when we go away from home? Because it's a question by you, isn't it? What would you rather do, beat Newcastle home and away, or them get to the Champions League sort of latter stages?
Yeah,
but it could be best of both worlds, right? Because if we hammer them the first time, then if they get to the round of 16, then they'll just be thinking, well, if we play a full strength team here, we're going to get battered on the weekend. We're going to have to get them knocked out of there and all.
All the mags I've heard in sport who think it's an easy 6 points, so they'll probably just play their reserves against us anyways. Going off what they're saying. I mean, yeah,
if we're being honest, it's going to be a struggle, obviously, this season, but I do think we've got it in us to bloody a few bigger teams' noses. Like the way that we play, I'm quite looking forward to games like Arsenal away or even like, I know Tottenham and Man United were crap in the league, but like still big teams, or even like your Villas and that. I think the way we play, we can certainly give some of these teams a bit of a surprise away from home. It's not like we're set up like a naive Southampton, Burnley type team coming up. We're going to just get absolutely battered from pillar to post every time we go away. I think we've got it in us to surprise a few.
Look, I think you two are probably a little more confident than I am about that. I'm kind of reserving judgment on that because I think every team who comes up will think similar to some extent. And I think we've got valid reasons for thinking like you have, Johnny. And especially the way that we've set up, and I think, that the pragmatic approach that Lebris has and the way it kind of sets things up tactically and some of the players that we've got and, hopefully some of the players that we'll bring in. But, you can kind of, remember, Gav, me and you, I was thinking before, me and you did that podcast when Jack Clark left for Ipswich. And we were like, what the fuck's he going there for? He's just going to get relegated. And we got battered by the Ipswich fans who listened to it on Twitter, and we got absolutely slated. But it was like, in fact, and I think, the reality is, every club in the Championship, most of the clubs in the Premier League, they'll be going, Sunderland's nailed on for relegation.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the reality of how things are perceived. Now, we've all seen things that might give us hope that we're doing things differently. And we've got a different take on things and all that sort of thing. But, as you say, Johnny, it's going to be a bloody hard season. And, we can just need to pick up points as we go. And, the good thing from my perspective is that we actually didn't get promoted on the strength of our defence or strength of our attack. We got promoted on the strength of our team as a whole. It wasn't if we outscored everybody or wasn't if we kept like Burnley style clean sheets, because both of those things are really difficult to do to anywhere near the same extent in the Premier League. So the fact that we actually came up because we had a game plan and our tactics were good and we kind of worked as a cohesive team rather than relying on one bit of our play being superb compared to the other bits, does give you hope. But it's it's another conversation to have after we've played 6 or 7 games, isn't it? Go, well, how are we feeling that?
Yeah, might not be looking forward to them then. I might be thinking, it's going to be 8 to 10-0 in all of those games.
And you fast forward to the end of January and play the clip of Johnny going, I can't wait to play Arsenal away. I fancy it. Well, Johnny, come on.
Combined goal difference of -50 just from playing the Champions League teams away.
No, I was thinking there, though, when we're saying, like, we're quite happy with them opening 5. Every one of them teams we're playing will have looked at us and have thought, yeah, we're gone. There's an easy 3 points for us, Glad we're playing Sunderland early in the season.
But in Burnley as well, that'll be their first home game. I don't know who they're playing for the opening game of the season. That'll be their first home game. Massive game for them. It's actually it'd be a bigger game for them than it is for us. And you've got Isidore.
I think that'll tell us a lot about. I think that'll tell us a lot about where both teams are at in terms of heading into the season. And you normally get one of these games, don't you?
Yeah.
You always get one of these games between two of the promoted sides will play each other early in the season, and you normally find it's like one look really comfortable and the other look miles off it. I think I've got a feeling in my head Southampton played someone early in the season last year and they were just miles off it, and it gives that early indication, doesn't it, of where you're at?
Yeah.
Because you're playing a team basically who you're pretty evenly matched with. You're both coming up, like you're both starting on 0. You've both come up from the Championship. Actually, I'm thinking about the season before. It was Luton. I'm pretty sure they beat Burnley early in the season.
Aye.
And Luton put up the best fight, didn't they? Luton had the best chance of staying up in the end. But it was like you got that impression from the early stage of the season, like, oh, Luton are actually probably the most capable of staying up here, and they didn't. But they did put up a decent fight. But no, look, we've got to play everybody twice. If I showed this to me daddy, well, you just play everyone twice, don't you? He doesn't try and look at it objectively. He's just like everyone plays each other twice, and then at the end of the season you are where you are, which I guess is right. But it is the structure of the games are important, because like you look at that December, and it is tough. Like Liverpool and Man City are both away within the space of 3 days. Those are normally the spells of games when if a manager's under pressure. I don't want to say it, but they're the games when, the club might be sort of looking over their shoulders a bit heading into January with a bit of, say we're in the bottom 3 and we get beat off Liverpool, Man City, we then lose to Newcastle. Like, it puts a lot of pressure on the club. So I would like to think they'll be looking at this list and going, right, that is going to be tough. We need to be sure in our heads, like when we get to that stage, it can go one or two ways. We navigate it fairly well, or it's an absolute disaster. And if it's an absolute disaster, we need to have a plan for how we're going to handle that. They've got to look at it that way. They've got to look that far ahead, I think, because like that is a tough month.
It gives you checkpoints through the season, doesn't it? To assess your progress, and you, like you say, you go right before that Liverpool, City, Newcastle run. Where are we at? After that run, where are we at? Is it time to start looking at things? And then, even towards the end of the season, you'll be looking at points in February and March or whatever, where you're thinking like, right, if we're X number of points behind by this stage, then we, alarm bells need to start ringing again. But I think it's hard, the way the Premier League's gone the last couple of seasons, it's harder to do that, I think, because, okay, that run of Liverpool, City, Newcastle, that's obvious. That's a really tough run. But like, who would have said that Nottingham Forest were going to be getting European football last season? Who would have said that Bournemouth would be up where they were? These kind of teams who, a couple of seasons ago, when Villa came from sort of nowhere to then, finishing the Champions League, there's always a few teams every season who just totally surprise you, both going up and going down the table, thinking of United and Spurs. So what looks to us on paper now, where we're going off, if we win them games or we lose them games, give it 6 weeks in, and not just us going where are we at, but all of a sudden you'll have some random team who finished 14th and they're third after 2 months, and you go, where the bloody hell did they come from? So it's going to be a learning experience all round.
A random team that came up through the playoffs and the fourth after a few months, Johnny, is that weird?
So we've gone from, I was excited for all the big games away, then we're getting relegated with no points. Then Gav's saying that we're going to be sacking Labrise after the Mags game. And then now we're
Hold your horses. I didn't say that.
He intimated it, didn't he?
Yeah.
He didn't say it specifically, but
But it's all right, 'cause he'll not be getting sacked when we're fourth after 2 months, so that'll be absolutely sound.
he'd be right.
No. I've said this anyways, and I'm sticking by it. I'll probably be made to eat my words at some point, but I wouldn't be sacking him at all, regardless of how the season goes. I think to even be thinking about that would be daft. I think when you've got the right manager, and we've come up, with a massive underdogs, having finished fourth, way behind the two other promoted teams in terms of points, to even be here is a blessing.
Yeah.
So to even be sat here today and talking to you two about Sunderland playing in the Premier League feels like an absolute blessing to me. And we shouldn't take that for granted. I think now is the time for Sunderland to stick to their guns when you've got a good manager who knows what he's doing, who understands the way the club operates. Then, don't get an itchy trigger finger like we've done in the past. If we go down, we go down. All I'm doing is looking at that and thinking this is an opportunity for us that we didn't think we were going to get. So,
look, you're 100% right on face value. What I will say with the regime that we've got at present is that they have been ruthless on occasions, haven't they? Getting rid of Lee Johnson, getting rid of Tony Mowbray. So, look, I think it's one of those that they'll actually just play by ear. And I think, as we've talked about on numerous occasions, we never know what the full picture is. We see a very sort of tunnel vision view of what's going on at the football club, don't we? Primarily based on what we see in the field and what we read and what we hear. And there's so many other factors come into it. And I think realistically what they'll be doing, which you kind of read about clubs doing all throughout the course of time really, is pinpointing games where those 10 wins will come from. And you'll be able to go through that fixture list and highlight 15, 20 games where you feel that it's a decent chance of getting 3 points there. And you'll tick them off and, you pick up some bonus points somewhere here and there. But I think the thing with our form under Lebris last season is we never went on some terrible runs. We had a little spell where we maybe went 6 without a win or 5 without a win, didn't we? But we never went on really barren runs of defeats or, great runs of like 7 or 8 wins together. It was all very, very, I used the word pragmatic before, but we kind of just kept chipping away. And we didn't get too high, didn't get too low. We just kept going at it. And if we can continue that into next season and continue that sort of approach to which, the players are well accustomed to. And as you say, Gav, the head coach, manager knows the club. He knows what the expectation is. He knows the players now, of course. And I think if we can just continue with that philosophy, and the great thing with Lebris, and I think he said it before the playoffs, about the he doesn't get affected by the noise. He doesn't seem to pay much attention to what's going on outside of the club. He's just concentrating on what he's doing. He kind of sticks in his own lane to a large extent. And look, there'll be an awful lot more pressure on him. There'll be an awful lot more exposure on him in terms of TV cameras and reporters and all that sort of stuff. And how he adapts to that will be interesting. But, he's got experience of managing at the top level in France. And I think if we can kind of keep that same approach as we had last season and just chip away and not get too high or low about things. And I think as a supporter base, we saw the power of what can happen when everyone comes together for that last run of playoff games. And, the despondency before the first Coventry game or leading into that game after the 5 defeats at the end of the season. Like, we can't afford to have that sort of feeling as fans if we lose 4 or 5 in a row next season, which, fixture-wise is very feasible that could happen. And I think you kind of got to retain that bigger picture, I guess, longer-term perspective on things. And again, if we're tracking all right in terms of getting, 35 points or so, 36 points, you'd think that would keep you up. It used to be 40, but I don't think it's been 40 for a little while, has it? So, you're looking at, let's say, 10 wins, a few draws, and just keep chipping away, and I think we'll be all right. But yeah, there's a lot to happen over the next 8 weeks to get us into a position where we can tackle the season, isn't there?
That's it. I think that's a good place to end off, boys, because we'll probably chat a lot more about fixtures as the week progresses. So we want to get this one out nice and early for people so they could hear it not too long after the fixtures come out. So thank you very much, Johnny. Been great, mate.
I thank you very much, lads. Enjoyed that.
Yes, and thank you very much, Martin. Thank you for those lovely parting words. Let's see if we're sticking by those in a couple of months' time. We'll see.
End of September. Sack Lebris.
Cheers, listeners. Thank you very much for listening. We will have more pods each and every day this week. There's plenty to catch up on. If you haven't seen what else we've got out on the feeds, make sure you catch up on those. But from us, it's bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.